very hard to lock someone in. So it's very easy when better things become available. You do have a safe way to, again, centralize batch story points without a single point of failure. It's easy to do that. It's easy to Whereas in more regulated markets, you end up having to deal with a lot of crop before you get cool.
You know, what I worry a lot about, who here likes bodegas? Corner stores. You know what bodegas shouldn't have to do? They should not have to run personal armies that can defend against nation-state attackers. You know what they should do? They should be selling me popsicles. That's what they should be doing.
Popsicle nation is kind of crazy. You think I'm joking? Yeah, I'm joking. Cookies and cream. Hell yeah. Yeah, more cookies and cream, less, fighting the Chinese. Yeah, right. It actually is. You mentioned it.
But we have this issue where for business to work, most business that is actually effective is small business. This is what employs, this is what makes the economy actually work. The bodegas, they have small things that are out there, and they're having to worry about these incredible security problems. You would think that as a society we could offload these problems to other organizations, to banks, to governments. That's the whole reason we pay taxes. But what's happened is properties of these centralized organizations, once they get all this control, they start messing with stuff. And the balancing act that we seem to be in is how do we get the properties of a bodega can just go about his business without the centralized power brokers inserting their own requirements. That's kind of the game we're at. How do we get the security without the inappropriate influence?
I think that's something that for those of us who've worked in security for a long time, there's three ways to reduce the threat, so to speak, and specifically for things that have a value. You can reduce access to it, which is mainly what we can do through air gaps or having an offline copy of your data. But you can also reduce the value of information, and you can also reduce the anonymity of who is attacking. And we were talking about these things in another Rolf mentioned. But I think it's very relevant in terms of security, because one thing that Dan had suggested in one of his notes was precisely it painted or blacklisted those things that had been stolen. If we could reduce the value of the things that are stolen, then eventually we'll reduce part of the threat. And I know there's different opinions here.
Who's pro taint and who's anti-taint?
Well,
No, I'm just kidding.
it's not pro-taint or anti-taint. The taint is just there.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. Bitcoin is very different than any other currency we've ever had. You can, after you're robbed, you can just watch your theft run around the world. Gold is gold. Oh, that's my gold little atom. And every atom is actually, every smooshie is actually trackable. And how the taint moves around is not debatable. We have this very interesting thing about, it started, at least from my perspective,
after that.
at least from my perspective, it started with cars and LoJack. You steal a car and say, now I've got an anonymous car. No, you don't. The VIN's there, there's a little GPS thing, it sends out signals, and all of a sudden car thefts go down because you might get busted. Cell phones have become a major source of theft, and they're all individually marked here. From agents and explosives to little paintings that go on, we're really seeing the de-anonymization of material that would be stolen. The real idea is, as long as it's in its legitimate hands, it's valuable. The moment you steal it, the value goes to zero, meaning it doesn't get stolen. That's not actually a bad thing. I like things that don't get stolen. That's however you get to the route of your goods being secure. It's kind of cool. We are in a situation with Bitcoin where there have been massive thefts. I've been saying for some time that none of the stolen Bitcoin has been spent
Zuko, one of the, Zuko Delacroix, I think that's his last name. He's saying there's been a little bit of spending of stolen Bitcoin. As far as I can tell, there's several $1 million of stolen Bitcoin.
At least, maybe more.
Maybe more. And then of course the value just keeps going up.
It's hundreds of thousands of coins.
Yeah, so
If you count, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of this hack, there's lots of this online.
we're in an interesting state where it's in absolutely everyone's interest, including the thieves, to not spend their stolen Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Everyone's hoarding all the way back to Satoshi himself.
You heard it
Himself. My theory is Satoshi is a group of, I don't know, 3 to 8 quants out of New York or London. And certainly, I will tell you, having looked at the code, it's actually a really interesting thing when you go in there. Anyone who first looks at Bitcoin is like, this thing's got like 15 bugs and are going to be here, 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 and here. And then you look in the code and you can see either like 4 lines of undocumented code that fixes the bug, or like absence. You can just see it happen. People like us have gone through this code base.
Yes.
Fantastic. It's never happened.
Actually, this is Satoshi the time traveler. He needs Bitcoin to fund his time travel.
When people often talk about mixing, I'm just going to get on my platform and say, like, you must ask yourself, are my coins likely to be worse than the coins I'm trading with whoever's mixing with me? Like, mixing is, it's like which side has the moral hazard on the mixing? It's not a good idea and not a good mixing fan for the current services. Like, you go mix with who knows who.
Actually, I'd like to comment on the mixing thing. So one of the really weird aspects of Bitcoin is it costs nothing to make a new identity. And this is actually a bit of a weird property because the more identities there are, the cost of running the system grows. The blockchains get to move around and so on. We talk about the anonymity properties of Bitcoin as being poor. Because it's free to create new identities, man, you just never know. Is it the same guy spending money to himself? Is he giving it to someone else? Bitcoin's not particularly anonymous, but it's super deniable.
Somebody's going to reverse of the I am a Spartacus thing where everyone stands up and says the same person, just like I am everybody.
Yeah. Like, hey, yeah, you may know it, but go ahead and prove it. So there's just really, really weird properties there. But I want to make it very clear, however the mixing occurs, eventually tainted money shows up at an exchange, a place with a lot of money and a lot of deep pockets, and it's very easy for someone to say, hey, you guys have 100,000 Bitcoins, this transaction came in with 50 of my stolen Bitcoins, give them back, you are in possession of stolen property.
Well, and that's, Gox has a lengthy database of who owns what addresses. They keep their own internal taint tracker for that reason. And they should. And any exchange worth their salt is going to have that data stream and has to decide what to do about it. And then B, should I think be looking out for the community and being like, sorry, we're going to hold on to those.
I believe that,
Let me jump in.
Sorry, I'm new with this.
Yeah, we covered one end of the arguments, and I'm not gonna, I can't stick to one side or the other, but I want to offer the balance to this discussion, which is that there's also other, aspects to tainting coins and following and blacklisting that I think, one of the problems with it is that it's fairly centralized in the sense that if I'm accepting, one of the properties of Bitcoin is that you can transact with someone across the world instantaneously, for no fees. But now I have to subscribe to a central service that hopefully I trust that's telling me what coins are stolen, and I don't really know whether the coins that I'm receiving are perhaps stolen but not recorded yet, or announced. Like there's all this. Suddenly, one Bitcoin is not one Bitcoin. It's one. Some coins are worth more than others, and for a system that's supposed to be decentralized, it's not ideal.
But the thing is, some coins are worth more than others now because you would not take the InstaWallet coins or the My Bitcoin coins